Hello, welcome back to Drunk Video Game History. Tonight I'm going to start off the episode like I start off every episode, and I'm going to teach you guys how to make a cocktail. Tonight I have for you the Mickey Mouse, because we're doing Kingdom Hearts 2. I feel like the Mickey Mouse is the perfect drink to go with Kingdom Hearts 2. Again, unfortunately, this is not a drink you'll be able to go into a bar and order, but you might be able to train a bartender to make this for you if you go to a bar very often. It does require some specialty ingredients, whipped cream, and vanilla ice cream that not every bar will have. Some bars don't keep dairy at that facility because of health code regulations and whatnot. Check your local regulations, ask your local bartender, they'll help you out. So if this seems like a drink that you're interested in, you can make it for yourself once I show you how. Now, there's a little setup, a little prep that goes into this drink. Not so much as some of the other ones I've had that have had prep, and I'm sure I'll have some more in the future that have a lot of prep. But this does have just a bit of setup. So in order to start, we're starting with vodka. Now for the vodka, I selected the Prairie Wolf vodka. This is a great hidden gem of a vodka, brewed in Guthrie, Oklahoma, if you can imagine it. Guthrie's the first capital of Oklahoma, and it's just this tiny, teeny little town. There's a little vodka brewery there, and it produces some really quality vodka. So that's the vodka I'll be using for the drink tonight. It has nothing to do with Mickey Mouse or Kingdom Hearts. It's just my go-to vodka. So this drink has some prep to it. Not only does it involve this fantastic Prairie Wolf vodka, but also involves sandwich cookies. I've picked the Oreo sandwich cookies. I know that Hydrox are the original Oreo sandwich cookie, but Oreo cookies are a lot easier for me to find. So those are the two base ingredients here. The prep for this, and it's a little easier than some of the preps I've done before and some of the preps I'll do in the future, I'm sure. Take 4 or 5 of those sandwich cookies, put them in your blender, add 3 ounces of vodka right on top of that. You want to let it soak up. I've done this right before I started recording. It doesn't take very long to get the Oreo cookies to just soak up a little bit of the vodka. So that's step 1. Step 2 is going to be to add 1 more ounce of Godiva's white chocolate liqueur. I would assume that any white chocolate liqueur could work. I have a pretty good liquor store that I go to all the time, and all they can get is Godiva. I don't know if there are a lot of other white chocolate liqueurs on the market, but I can't imagine that this isn't a great one. You can look at that, you can maybe be able to see some of the sandwich cookies in the bottom of the carafe there. It isn't much to look at now, but I'm hoping it looks pretty good later. Now on top of that, we're going to add 1 big scoop of vanilla ice cream. It goes right in there on top. That's it. Now I'm going to spare you the noise from this. Blenders get pretty loud. In my other life, I'm a safety guy, and I use blenders a lot to talk about how loud things can be industrially. So I recognize how loud this can be. I'm going to edit out the actual blending. We're going to mix this together until it's pretty homogeneous. So there you go. Just mix it up until it's pretty smooth and homogeneous. It's very cold. Now, this is not nearly as homogeneous as I expected it to be, but that's okay. Mostly because the filling is a little more dense than the cookies themselves. So the base of this drink is that Oreo cookie, the vodka, and the Godiva white chocolate liqueur. On top of that, we're going to add some whipped cream. I'm a from scratch kind of guy, so I whipped some cream also ahead of time. You can use Reddi-wip. You could use Cool Whip for this. I personally would not. I wouldn't even recommend it, but it's an option. Cool Whip, in case you guys don't know, is just oil. Reddi-wip, and if you actually take heavy cream and whip it, those are milk-based or dairy products. I know that I've talked up the merits of bar rags in other videos, but a bartender should have a rag around just to wipe off your glasses before you serve. Unfortunately, with this drink, I would like a way to make it a little prettier, but I think that's how we're going to be left to it. The reason why this is called the Mickey Mouse, not just the ingredients, they're certainly pretty whimsical, white chocolate, ice cream, cookies, etc., but also the garnish. So for the garnish, what they recommend is putting in 2 Oreo cookies and a cherry. So there you have it. There's our Mickey Mouse. He's the leader of the club that's made for you and me, and he's our king in Kingdom Hearts 2. I'm going to finish this off, probably have another one. I hope you guys join me by the fire and hear the full story, Kingdom Hearts 2. Thank you guys for meeting me over here by the fire. Let's talk about Kingdom Hearts 2. I'd like to open. I said in a previous video that I would talk about the song and how much better the song is in this game than Kingdom Hearts 1. Now, I want to be clear, they're both excellent songs. But Sanctuary, the song actually plays into the game. It wasn't really popular to nest backmasked tracks in your song. So it was pretty innovative. And apparently if you play the song backwards, it says things like, I am Ansem. Which, that's really neat, because a big part of this game, as we'll see, is that Riku was possessed by Xehanort, who was calling himself Ansem. And we learn in this game it was actually Xehanort's Heartless who was calling himself Ansem. So, and this is complicated because Kingdom Hearts. But we have Xehanort, who, and spoilers from Birth by Sleep. When we talk about Birth by Sleep, it'll tie a lot of this together. So Xehanort, his body was, he was an old man, and he possessed another character for Birth by Sleep, and basically rejuvenated himself and became younger. In doing so, though, there was an internal conflict, and he kind of lost a lot of his memories. Later, he became Ansem the Wise's apprentice. Later, his body was killed by a Keyblade, so he was split into a Heartless and a Nobody. The villain of Kingdom Hearts 1 is Xehanort possessing Master Eraqus's apprentice, Heartless. The villain of Kingdom Hearts 2 is Xehanort, who is currently possessing Master Eraqus's apprentice, Nobody. And his name is Xemnas. Yes, if you make an anagram of Xemnas, you get Mansex. And that is hilarious. I honestly contemplated doing this whole video and calling him Mansex the whole time, and I decided against it. But if I start slipping into Mansex later, please forgive me. So the game opens, that's the song. When I first played this game, it came out before 358 Days Over 2, and I did not like Roxas. The game forces you to play this very long section, especially if you're kind of a completionist like I am, where you have to control this character named Roxas. And he's brand new to the series. He's not in Chain of Memories. I did not enjoy Roxas as a character at all. It starts out, there's some other new characters there. Hayden, Pence, and Olette. They're great, they're cool characters. But then Roxas is there, and you're like, who is this guy? Why are we getting a new protagonist in this? Where's Sora? That's who I want to see. I want to see Sora. I want to see Riku, I want to see Kairi, and now we start off with Roxas. And not only do we start off with Roxas, but his first enemy encounters are with nobodies. They aren't even with Heartless. So already it's really bizarre. Axel shows up, Axel tries to fight Roxas, and it's really convoluted. Now, just to explain what's happening, Roxas had left the organization in 358 Days Over 2, we learned this, and he ends up, this is that last 7 days that make the 1 year where Sora's in the egg. Roxas is how you start the game, and he learns over the course of these 7 days that he's really a nobody. Sora is his somebody, and he needs to reunite with Sora to make him whole. He talks to Naminé, she helps him realize this, and he learns that he's not even in an actual place, he's in a datascape version of Twilight Town. Increasingly, he realizes that he's a non-individual. He's this nobody thing. So he works his way through it. He ends up finally going to the real world, walking past these pods with Donald and Goofy in them that look really amazing. Like, as much as I didn't enjoy playing as Roxas, when you walk past those pods the first time, it's great. Like, the tension's building, you're like, something's happening. Why are Donald and Goofy in these pods? This is wild. And you find a pod with Sora in it, and as it opens up, Roxas is gone, and Sora's whole again. And in my opinion, that's where the gameplay starts, but a lot of the story now has already been told. And just like most Kingdom Hearts games, a lot of the story now stops. The Kingdom Hearts story. So our main characters, they end up getting Twilight Town, and Sora has these weird, like, Roxas memories. When he meets Roxas's old friends, he actually cries when he says goodbye to them. It's a very emotional scene. It's very well done. He gets on this train, and Mickey has rigged up this train so it flies through the space between worlds to the mysterious tower where Yen Sid is. And Yen Sid, which is an anagram for Disney, is actually just Disney backwards. And again, I just want to point out the absurdity of this. Disney is an anagram for Yen Sid, right? Ericus is an anagram for square. So they put anagrams in there, and then they have Mansex in here. I'm like, did nobody think about the anagram for Xemnas' name? Like, just give him another couple of letters in there, dude. Like, I mean, I really like Tetsuya Nomura, but seriously, like, that one choice is just such a head scratcher. Mansex. Anyway, so they get there, Pete's there, and we killed Maleficent in Kingdom Hearts 1. She turned into a dragon, we destroy her, she's dead. Like, as dead as Marley, apparently. Except, Sora needs new clothes. Who do you go see when you need new clothes? Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather from Sleeping Beauty. That's who I would go see, at least, if I had access to them. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather make Sora some new clothes, and they're amazing clothes because Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather are fairies. And again, I want all my clothing to be fairy made. So they make, these clothes give Sora access to these amazing powers. They let him combine with Donald, for example, and assume Valor form and do just fantastic, amazing things. For some reason, they also allow him to combine with the darkness in his heart and turn into, like, anti-form. And I'm not sure why the fairies put that in there. That's kind of a weird feature to include in your clothing, but they do that. Regardless, though, the clothes are awesome. Yen Sid gives them another gummy ship, and they leave. And now, this is why Maleficent is my boo, and why she's amazing. So, she hid a spell in her clothing with her raven, such that if the other fairies remembered her, she would be fully resurrected. So her raven brings her shawl over to the good fairies, and they're like, oh, hey, remember that Maleficent person? And boom, she's there. Surprise, Maleficent.
Is this why you would leave me for her?
Yeah, Maleficent's awesome. So Maleficent is also in this game. She has armies of Heartless behind her, because of course she adapts all of the evil things to be under her control. She's fantastic. Now, I recognize in Kingdom Hearts 3, she loses a little bit of her luck. She loses a little bit of her luster. She loses. I recognize that in Kingdom Hearts 3, she loses a little bit of her luster, but Maleficent is still awesome. So Sora, Donald, and Goofy, they go flying off. And now, this game is a little different than Kingdom Hearts 1. And Kingdom Hearts 1, Dream Drop Distance, for example, Birth by Sleep. Birth by Sleep is a little different, but still. In Kingdom Hearts 3, you visit each Disney World one time and you're done with it. In Kingdom Hearts 2, with the exception of Atlantica, and Atlantica is kind of the world we shall not name, when you visit each Disney World and then you leave, and then you have to come back and do something else at the Disney World, it kind of pads out the runtime because you're in the same locations, but you're doing, oftentimes when you come back, you only go to like one extra location. And again, it doesn't really add anything to the narrative. There's some beginnings of time travel in this game, unfortunately, and I feel like the time travel in this game is what leads to the time travel in Coded and Birth by Sleep, which are nightmares. When you get to my Coded video, you'll see how messed up time travel becomes in this game series. Regardless, in this game, you revisit all the Disney Worlds twice. Other than that, again, I'm not going to rehash all the Disney stories. You go to each Disney World and you do the Disney story again. Now, most of the time it is a different part of the story, right? Like when you, instead of going to Halloween Town and doing a Halloween Town thing, you go to Christmas Town. But under all of that, you also go back to Hollow Bastion, and you're dealing with Hollow Bastion throughout that as well. And Hollow Bastion ultimately ends up being a place called Radiant Garden from Birth by Sleep. All kinds of cool stuff happens there. Not really a lot of narrative things. We found out like the Gull Wings from Final Fantasy X, which have a character named Riku in them, just to make things extra confusing. They are working with Maleficent as spies. They kind of become, they're reformed later, so they're not bad the whole time. There's Sephiroth and Cloud are in it, and they fight. You get to battle Sephiroth. Those battles happen. It's Cloud and Sephiroth battle. You get to battle Sephiroth yourself. It's a lot of fun. Not really driving the narrative. As it plays out, you learn that Axel... So the narrative progresses. you're rebuilding Hollow Bastion. And it turns out that's Radiant Garden. You're rebuilding, you rebuild Hollow Bastion through the help of Tron. And there's a lot of cool fight things. Winnie the Pooh is there. You have to rebuild the Winnie the Pooh storybook. But it's fairly mundane Disney things until the end game. And in the end game, you get to the world that never was. When Sora first gets there, he's confronted by this cloaked figure who he doesn't really know. The cloaked figure has 2 Keyblades. You're like, oh, who is this with 2 Keyblades? It's Roxas. They fight. Sora wins. And you realize after the fight that it actually took place inside of Sora's heart the whole time. So you progress through the world that never was, and you have to battle the remaining members of Organization 13. Again, to remind you from my Chain of Memories video, which you can watch, like Marluxia, Larxene, etc. Several members were killed in Castle Oblivion. Those who are left alive, you get a fight. Xigbar is one of them, for example. An interesting just gaming fact, there was a lot of censorship about Xigbar's guns in the United States. The most censored character in Kingdom Hearts history, if I remember correctly, was Xigbar. He, in the American version, in the Japanese version rather, he puts his 2 pistols together and makes like this sniper rifle. And in the American version, he doesn't. He just holds up 1 pistol. I'm like, what an odd thing to censor. But that's one of the things they censored. They censored his crosshairs. Like, they censor a lot of things with Xigbar shooting you. It's just an interesting piece of gaming. You beat through them, you get through them, you have to beat Saïx, he goes crazy in the moon. Finally, it's just Xemnas left. And you beat Xemnas and you think everything is good, everything's over. And in fact, his machine blows up and you're like, oh, it's over. Ansem sacrificed himself to save us. Riku looks like Riku again, he can't use darkness, and so you're trapped because you can't use the dark portals to get around. Well, Naminé thankfully shows up and starts, getting everybody away. Opens up portals, so Donald and Goofy go, Kairi goes, Mickey goes, everybody's leaving, and then you realize a dragon attacks, this mechanical dragon, and you're like, oh, what's going on? Why is a dragon attacking? Xemnas isn't dead. You have to fight Xemnas one more time, and then Xemnas pulls you down into the world of darkness. Well, you get in the world of darkness and you end up on this beach with Riku. You have this very touching scene where you're like, hey, brother, it looks like we're here. This is life now. We're on this beach. I don't think there's any way out. I don't think anybody can come and save us. And this message in a bottle washes up. And Sora opens it. And he reads this letter that Kairi writes him. Kairi actually wrote him a letter at the very beginning of the game. When you're playing as Roxas, Kairi writes a letter to Sora, and Roxas experiences it kind of, like their hearts connect. Well, now your heart calls out to Kairi's heart and it opens up a door to light. Sora even says, it's the door to light. And he's like, come on, Riku, you're coming through with me now. And they leave, they go back to light. Everything looks like it's gonna be happy. And there's this scene after the credits when another bottle washes up and King Mickey has written a letter in a message in a bottle, and it leads into Kingdom Hearts Coded. Now, the secret ending movie, though, Kingdom Hearts 2, is what leads into Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and it's fantastic. I'm going to link to it here below. So if you made it to the end of the video, I want to say thank you, but I also want to tell you guys about an amazing piece of art that just came out. I have been a fan of Lindsay Sterling's for years, and she just released a Kingdom Hearts violin medley that is amazing. I mean, will make people who've never heard any one of the series weep with emotion. It's overwhelmingly great. It's about 5 minutes long. It's fantastic. I'm going to link to it down in the description as well. It's great. I highly recommend you guys checking it out and then checking out other of her things if you enjoy it. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys catch me for the next video I do. Coming up, Kingdom Hearts Coded, Kingdom Hearts Key, and Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep.